I mean, I want you to just picture your morning commute for a second.
All right.
You're driving down the highway and you're surrounded by an absolute sea of luxury vehicles just everywhere you look.
Yeah, the volume's incredible.
Brand new SUVs, pristine pickup trucks, high-end sedans. I mean, it looks like this perfect picture of ultimate economic success.
It really does. On the surface.
Exactly, on the surface. But today, we're going on a mission to unpack the dark mathematical reality hiding behind all that tinted glass. We are looking at the American middle class's most dangerous financial addiction.
And it is an addiction.
It is. And we've compiled a massive stack of sources for this deep dive. We've got recent Federal Reserve data on consumer debt, internal auto industry lending reports, and several really sobering wealth management case studies.
The data paints a very clear picture.
It does. And we're using all of this to understand a staggering new normal, the $1,000 a month car payment.
It's entirely normalized now. And what we need to be very clear from the start, this is not just a poor spending habit or, a slight miscalculation in a household budget.
Right.
The data from our wealth management sources indicates this is a deliberate, systemic wealth destroyer.
A wealth destroyer, that's a heavy term.
It is. And we need to slow down and really let the gravity of that number sink in. $1,000.
Yeah.
Every single month, leaving your possession.
He's gone.
Exactly.
Right.
That is capital that could be compounding in the market, buying real estate, or securing your retirement. But instead, it is actively draining your net worth.
I have to say, the numbers in these reports are honestly difficult to process. $1,000 a month for just a standard commuter vehicle.
Yes.
I mean, I remember when a payment like that was reserved for exotic sports cars or like a massive mortgage. It feels like overnight we went from a few $100s a month to surrendering a massive chunk of our take-home pay just to keep a set of wheels in the driveway.
Yeah.
How did the financial industry convince millions of people to agree to these terms?
Well, to understand why that $1,000 a month is so incredibly destructive and how they convince the public to accept it, you really have to look at the timeline.
Okay, the time.
You have to examine the hidden time frame that makes that monthly payment amount even remotely palatable for the average consumer. We are talking about the 84-month loan.
Wow.
The 7-year illusion.
84 months. I mean, when you stretch a loan that far out on a consumer good, it feels like you are taking out a mortgage on a toaster.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
It makes zero sense for a depreciating item. I want you, the listener, to just stop and think about where you were 7 years ago.
A lot changes in 7 years.
Exactly. Think about how much your life, your career, your family, your goals, how much they have completely transformed over the last 84 months.
Right.
And through all of those massive life changes, you would still be chained to the exact same car loan, paying peak prices for a vehicle that has been slowly falling apart since the day you bought it.
The duration is engineered to be staggering, precisely because it obfuscates the reality of the purchase.
Obfuscates how?
Well, dealerships and banking institutions have meticulously crafted the 84-month loan with a singular primary goal: to create the illusion of affordability.
Smoke and mirrors.
Precisely. When you sit across the desk at the dealership, they are trained to prevent you from focusing on the total capitalized cost of the vehicle.
Oh, right. They always ask what you want to pay monthly.
Well, exactly. Because if you want a $75,000 truck, but you only make $80,000 a year, looking at that total price tag would trigger a psychological stop.
You'd panic. You'd walk away.
You would absolutely walk away. So they shift your entire focus to cash flow.
That makes perfect sense. They want to fit that payment into your current paycheck, regardless of how long it takes to actually pay it off.
Yes. By stretching the term out to 84 months, they can disguise a catastrophic total purchase price behind a figure that just feels, manageable today.
It's a brilliant psychological trick.
It is. They are extending your debt sentence to mask the true cost of the vehicle. You're prioritizing the short-term gratification of driving a new car over your long-term financial survival.
But let me push back on this a bit.
Go ahead.
Because if I am listening to this, I'm probably looking out at my driveway right now, feeling a little defensive.
Sure.
The immediate counterargument is practicality. People need to get to work safely.
Yes, they do.
Right. And if I have a family, I am terrified of breaking down on the side of the highway. I want modern safety features, I want airbags, and honestly, I want the peace of mind of a manufacturer's warranty.
That's the standard defense.
Isn't financing a newer car just a necessary cost of living in modern society?
That is the absolute most common defense presented in consumer surveys.
Yeah.
And it is completely dismantled by the hard data in the financial reports we reviewed.
Really? Completely dismantled.
Completely. The numbers simply do not support the narrative that you must spend $75,000 to keep your family safe.
So how do the reports counter that? Because a lot of people truly believe a cheaper car is inherently a dangerous car.
Well, they counter it by defining the baseline cost of reliable transportation.
Okay.
A perfectly reliable, entirely safe, functional vehicle, say a 5 to 7-year-old, meticulously inspected Honda or Toyota costs between $10,000 and $15,000.
10 to 15 grand.
Exactly. Those vehicles have excellent crash test ratings, modern airbags, and they can easily run for hundreds of thousands of miles with basic maintenance.
Right. They run forever.
That $15,000 mark is your baseline for safety and utility. Therefore, if you are purchasing a vehicle for $75,000, the extra $60,000 you're financing has absolutely nothing to do with getting from point A to point B.
Wow. So it's an ego premium?
Precisely. You are financing an ego premium.
That's brutal.
That's the truth. You are paying for the badge on the steering wheel, the specific smell of the leather, the digital dashboard, and, the social signal you send when you pull into the parking lot at work.
So we are essentially imposing this massive luxury tax on ourselves, but calling it a safety necessity just to feel better about the purchase.
And it is a luxury tax that the banking system aggressively encourages.
Because they make money off the interest.
Oh, a fortune. Because you are not just paying that $60,000 ego premium in cash, you are financing it.
Over 84 months.
Over 84 months. And this is where the mathematical mechanics become truly predatory. We need to look at how an amortization schedule actually works when you stretch consumer debt over 7 years.
Okay, let's get into the math.
The interest payments are heavily front-loaded.
Can you break down what front-loaded actually means in this context for someone who might not be familiar with loan amortization?
Certainly. When you make your $1,000 payment in the first few years of an 84-month loan, a disproportionately massive chunk of that money goes straight to the bank as interest profit.
So it's not even paying for the car?
Barely. A very small fraction actually pays down the principal balance of the vehicle. By the time you reach month 84, factoring in these extended interest rates, you will have paid tens of thousands of dollars above the sticker price.
That is insane.
The banks are collecting an astronomical yield on your desire to look successful.
They are literally monetizing our ego, which brings a really terrifying concept into focus here.
What's that?
Well, paying double for something because of interest is bad enough, but we are talking about an asset that is physically decaying. The wealth management sources refer to this combination as financial suicide disguised as success.
They are right. We need to methodically analyze the physics of auto depreciation because it operates unlike almost any other major purchase you will make in your life.
How so?
Well, real estate historically appreciates.
Right.
A diversified stock portfolio grows over time. But a vehicle is a rapidly decaying consumer product, and the mathematical reality is just brutal.
Just drops like a rock.
A new vehicle loses roughly 20% of its value the absolute second its tires roll off the dealership lot.
Wait, just to put that in perspective for a second. If you buy a $60,000 car, you are losing $12,000 of net worth before you even hit the highway to drive home.
Instantly.
That is nauseating.
You sign a legally binding contract for a massive high-interest long-term loan, and a fifth of the asset's value simply vanishes into thin air.
Just gone.
This instantly places the buyer in a position of negative equity. You owe the bank significantly more than the asset is actually worth on the open market.
And that negative equity is a trap, right? Because what happens in year 4?
Year 4.
Right. The new car smell is gone, the tires need replacing, the warranty expires, and the buyer wants something new. But they still have 3 entire years left on that 84-month loan.
That is exactly how the trap snaps shut. They take their 4-year-old car, which is now heavily depreciated, back to the dealer.
Yeah.
They still owe $30,000 on it, but the dealer only offers them $20,000 on a trade-in.
So they're underwater by 10 grand.
Yes. And that $10,000 of negative equity doesn't just disappear. The dealer simply rolls it into the new loan for the next car.
Oh, no.
Yes. Now they're financing $85,000 on a $75,000 car, stretching it out for another 84 months. It is a compounding cycle of debt.
So if the value vanishes instantly and the debt is front-loaded and inescapable, what is the buyer actually left holding?
Well,
I mean, at the end of the day, when the illusion fades, what is in their driveway?
stop and think about that.
Yeah.
You are left holding, quite literally, depreciating metal.
Wow. It's hard to hear it framed that way, but it's the absolute truth.
It is metal that is actively rusting in the rain.
Yeah.
Rubber that is degrading with every single mile. Microchips and dashboard technology that are becoming obsolete before the loan is even half over.
Obsolete before you even own it.
Exactly. You are burning your personal capital month after month to maintain possession of a decaying object.
That's so backwards.
The physics of the situation dictate that the object will inevitably trend toward a value of zero, while your financial obligation to the bank remains rigidly fixed.
You are pouring $1,000 a month into a bucket with a massive hole in the bottom, which forces a broader economic question here.
Okay.
The money doesn't just evaporate.
Right.
If this massive amount of wealth is steadily draining from the middle-class buyer's net worth, where exactly is it going?
It is a systemic wealth transfer.
Transfer.
Yes. It is a direct, highly efficient pipeline moving capital from the middle class to the financial sector.
The psychology of that wealth transfer is just fascinating to me because no one wakes up and consciously decides to transfer their family's future security to a massive banking institution.
No, of course not.
They genuinely think they are buying status. They want the feeling of having arrived.
Right.
But the ultimate consequence is that showing off comes at the direct cost of actual, true independence.
It is the ultimate trade-off, and it requires a very difficult realization about what is actually happening when you authorize that $1,000 automatic withdrawal from your checking account every single month.
So where does it go?
Listen closely to this.
I'm listening.
You are voluntarily funding the bank CEO's retirement instead of your own.
Wow. That is a gut punch.
It is. You are operating under a dynamic that some analysts call being a VIP slave.
A VIP slave.
Yes. You get the heated leather seats. You get the panoramic sunroof. You get the fleeting compliments from your neighbors.
All the perks.
But you are ultimately working for the bank. You are trading your finite hours on this earth, your physical labor, your stress, and your energy to ensure that the shareholders of that lending institution grow wealthier.
While you get poor.
Meanwhile, your own net worth remains entirely stagnant or actively declines. You are actively choosing perceived status over actual freedom.
It really is a form of captivity. But here's the disconnect for me.
What's that?
If this 84-month loan system is how the middle class destroys their wealth, we have to look at the contrast. Because if you drive through any affluent neighborhood, there is no shortage of luxury vehicles.
Yeah.
Wealthy people clearly still drive expensive cars. So how do they navigate this trap? Are they just immune to the math because they have more money?
They are not immune to the math. They simply operate under a completely different paradigm.
Okay, break that down for me.
The wealthy understand the physics of depreciation we just discussed, and they use a specific strategy to protect themselves from it. First, they separate their ego from their transportation.
They don't tie their worth to the car.
Exactly. They do not view a depreciating asset as a measure of their personal worth. They view it as a mathematical equation. Because they understand that a car is a liability, they absolutely refuse to expose their core wealth to that decay.
But wait, if they refuse to expose their core wealth, how are they acquiring the cars? I mean, they aren't just walking into dealerships and writing massive checks from their savings accounts, are they?
Rarely. The critical difference lies in the source of the capital.
The source.
The wealthy systematically avoid buying luxury vehicles with W-2 income.
W-2 income, meaning the money they trade their time for, their salary.
Exactly. Earned income from a salary is the most heavily taxed money you will ever make, and it requires your direct physical time and labor to generate.
Right, you have to clock in for it.
Taking the hardest earned, highest tax money you have and sinking it directly into rusting metal is mathematically unsound.
So they build a firewall to protect their salary.
Yeah.
How do they actually fund the vehicle then? What is the actual mechanism?
They utilize what wealth managers call the asset liability loop.
The asset liability loop.
Yes. This is the exact mechanism that separates the wealthy from the middle class. If a wealthy individual decides they want the utility or the enjoyment of a $75,000 luxury SUV, they do not march into a dealership and sign an 84-month consumer loan.
So what do?
Instead, they purchase a cash-flowing asset first.
Okay, walk me through a concrete example of how that works in the real world, just to visualize it.
Let's say an individual has saved up $75,000.
Okay.
The middle-class approach is to put that money down on the SUV or use it to pay off the SUV over time. The wealthy approach is to take that $75,000 and use it as a down payment on a duplex, or invest it into a dividend-paying index fund, or buy a stake in a commercial real estate syndicate.
They buy something that pays them.
They deploy their capital to acquire an asset that generates passive, recurring income.
Okay, I am tracking with you. So they buy the duplex first.
Right. Once that duplex is stabilized, it might generate, let's say, $1,000 a month in net positive cash flow from the renters.
Okay.
The wealthy individual then takes that specific $1,000 of passive income and uses it to lease the luxury vehicle.
Oh, wow. That completely changes the framing. The asset is paying for the liability.
Precisely.
Their own personal capital, the $75,000 they worked so hard to save, is strictly protected.
It's completely shielded.
It is locked up in the real estate, which is presumably appreciating in value over those 7 years. And the rent checks from the tenants are what actually pay the car lease.
Exactly.
In 7 years, when the car is completely worthless, they just hand the keys back to the dealership. But they still own the duplex. Their principal was never burned.
You have perfectly summarized the wealthy paradigm. The middle class buys liabilities directly with their own labor. The wealthy buy assets and let the assets buy the liabilities.
It is a closed loop.
It is a closed loop.
Yeah.
The principal remains untouched, growing and compounding, while the yield from that principal funds the luxury lifestyle.
That is an incredibly powerful concept.
Yeah.
And it means that every time a consumer signs one of those 84-month loans, the tragedy isn't just the $1,000 leaving their account, it's the catastrophic opportunity cost.
Absolutely.
They are losing the opportunity to use that capital to buy the asset that could have eventually bought the car for them.
The opportunity cost is the true tragedy here. 7 years of lost compounding interest in the stock market.
7 years.
7 years of lost real estate appreciation. 7 years of lost capital accumulation. All traded away for a vehicle that will be worth a fraction of its purchase price by the time the final payment is finally made.
Bringing this all together, the mission of this deep dive was to expose the mechanics of this trap. And, looking at the sources, the mechanics are just undeniable.
They're laid out plainly in the data.
The 84-month loan is an engineered illusion designed to hide an exorbitant price tag behind a monthly payment. The justification of needing reliability is often just a smokescreen for ego, hiding a $60,000 premium for a badge.
Right.
The physical asset itself evaporates in value the moment you drive it away, trapping you in negative equity. And the entire system operates seamlessly to transfer your hard-earned labor into a bank executive's retirement fund.
It is a flawless, highly optimized system for extracting wealth from those who do not understand how money, depreciation, and amortization actually work.
The message here is stark, and it's heavily analytical, but I also find it deeply empowering if you actually apply the logic.
How so?
You must stop financing your ego. You have to start financing your freedom. Protect your capital, build that asset liability loop, and absolutely refuse to be a VIP slave to a lending institution.
Reclaiming control of your economic trajectory requires discipline. Refusing the 84-month loan and opting for a reliable $15,000 vehicle instead is often the necessary first step toward genuine generational financial independence.
I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. The next time you are sitting at a red light on your morning commute and a pristine $70,000 luxury SUV pulls up right next to you,
Yeah.
I want you to look closely at it. Look past the shiny paint and the tinted windows. Ask yourself, are you looking at genuine wealth? Or are you just looking at 84 months of perfectly engineered financial captivity?